In our previous lessons, we have learned about the different functions and structures of adverbials. But as we dig deeper with this topic, we will be able to learn more about adverbials. So, in this video, we will be discussing about the participles functioning as adverbial. In addition to adverbial clauses, adverbial phrases, and adverbial prepositional phrases, we also need to discuss another structure not directly generated by our rules, the adverbial participles. For example, we discussed reductions such as the following earlier in the chapter. Until I came to this city, I did not know what excitement was. Until coming to this city, I did not know what excitement was. Bear in mind that not all adverbial participles retain an adverbial subordinator. In fact, many simply begins with an ing verb form or an en verb form. The form of adverbial participles. The ing participles has three possible forms. Number 1, the basic form. The example word is working. And here is the sentence. Working diligently on his paper, John began to type up the bibliography. Let us always remember that basic form signals a time overlapping with the time expressed in the main clause. Adverbial participle number 2, the perfective form. The example phrase is having worked. Having worked on his paper since 4 p.m., John stopped at 8 to watch the DePaul basketball game. Having worked here signals a time preceding the time expressed in the main clause. So meaning, it shows when did John start working on his paper. He has been working on his paper since 4 p.m. Adverbial participle number 3, the perfective progressive form. The example phrase is having been working, wherein it signals an action in progress at a time preceding the time expressed in the main clause. Having been working on his paper for more than a week, John decided he would turn it in without further revision. Having been working here shows how long did John started working on his paper. So, he has been working on his paper for more than a week. Another adverbial participle is the en participle, which has also three possible forms. Number 1, the basic form. The example phrase is worn out. It signals a reason for the result expressed in the main clause. Example, worn out from all the work, John decided to relax. Meaning, this phrase worn out from all the work signals a reason for the result expressed in the main clause, which is John decided to relax. Though it has the same sense as the cause and effect relationship, it is only different when it comes to structure. Let us always remember that it answers the question why. So, why did John decide to relax? Because he is worn out from all the work. The en participle number 2 is the progressive form. The example phrase is being worn out. Much like the basic form, but with stronger emphasis on the fact that the participle gives a reason or cause for the result expressed in the main clause. Being worn out from all the work, John decided to relax in the evening. It is the same as the basic form. However, as we can observe in the sentence, there is an added words which are being and the word evening. The phrase being worn out gives more stronger emphasis on the result. So, always remember that the only difference between the basic form and the progressive form is that progressive form gives more stronger emphasis on the fact that the participle gives a reason or cause for the result expressed in the main clause. The en participle number 3 is a perfective form, and the example phrase is having been worn out. Having been worn out from 3 days' work on his paper, John decided to relax over the weekend. Let us always remember that perfective form signals that the action in the participle is completed before and is also the reason for the result expressed in the main clause. The basic form is by far the most frequent one for both the ing and en participle. The other forms do occur, however, and grammar texts sometimes erroneously refer to the progressive and perfective form of the en participle as instances of the ing participle because of the initial ing forms. Okay, let's proceed to the sentence final adverbial participle clauses. A sentence final participle clause is normally detached from the main clause by a comma in writing or by special features in speech, such as a pause before the lowered pitch on the participle clause. For example, Laura looked at him, consumed with contempt for what he represented. Another example, an old woman shouts out a long apocalyptic interpretation of the Bible, prophesying the immediate arrival of the messianic kingdom. While the use of a sentence final participle clause seldom leads to ungrammatical sentences, in the way that the use of the dangling modifier does, a potential for ambiguity exists in those cases where there is more than one noun in the main clause that could be the antecedent of the underlying subject in the participle clause. For example, Meg met Tom in the corridor, laughing heartily about what happened in the class. In the absence of additional context, either Meg or Tom could be the underlying subject of the participle clause in the sentence. Such ambiguity, however, rarely occurs. First of all, the main clause may have only one noun phrase. Second, for many main clauses with two or more noun phrases, there is usually one noun phrase that qualifies semantically as the subject of the participial clause. Shella ignored the dog and the TV set, deeply engrossed in the new book of the month that had come in the mail. Even though the main clause in this example contains three noun phrases, such as Shella, the dog, and the TV set, only Shella can serve as the underlying subject of the participial clause, that is, someone who is deeply engrossed in reading book. Note that all the examples we have given above of the sentence final adverbial participle are of the same noun phrase variety. The subject of the participle clause is identical in the reference to one of the noun phrases in the main clause. As shown before with the sentence initial clauses, not all sentence final participle clauses conform to this pattern. Some have an overt object that is not identical in reference to any noun phrase in the main clause. Okay, let's proceed to the form, meaning, and the use of preverbal adverbs of frequency. So in chapter 5, we mentioned the adverbial of frequency that usually occur at the end of a sentence. Some of these adverbial express a specific and others a general sense of frequency. Okay, for example, Bob does his laundry once a week. I brush my teeth every day. So, as you see in the sentence, we have an italicized words, which are once a week and every day. So these are an example of specific frequency. So meaning the date or the time is in specific form. So how often does Bob does his laundry? So it's once a week, meaning
there is a specific time that Bob is doing his laundry. And I brush my teeth every day. So how often I brush my teeth? Every day. Next, Helen does the dishes once in a while. You should write your parents every now and then. So the two itemized phrases, which is once in a while and every now and then, are example of general frequency. Why? Helen does the dishes once in a while. When is that once in a while? Unlike the specific frequency, once a week. So you would immediately recognize that it is once a week. However, when you say once in a while, when is that once in a while? Let's say once a week, twice a month. There is no specific time and date in the sentence. Okay, if we want to be more precise, we can refer to such adverbials as adverbial of specific or general frequency. Although these adverbials tend to occur at the end of the sentence, they may also occur initially if the adverbial of frequency is in focus. Form of preverbal adverbs of frequency. In contrast to these adverbials of specific or general frequency, English also has a class of preverbal adverbs of frequency or PAFs that tend to occur most naturally in the middle of a sentence. Example: Josh never writes his parents. Mary is always late for class. Bill has often forgotten to make his bed. I can usually do my shopping on Saturday. So, what are the preverbal frequencies that occur in the middle of the sentence here? So, as you can see, in the italicized words are the preverbal adverbs of frequency. The word never, always, often, and usually are the preverbal adverbs of frequency that occurs in the middle of a sentence. However, as you will see below, the preferred position for such adverb of frequency is somewhat complicated but predictable because of the complexity. However, misplacement of this form is a common problem for ESL and EFL learners, who will produce ill-formed sentences such as the following. Always Mary is coming late to class. Bill has forgotten often to make his bed. And the continuation of this topic will be discussed by Miss Regine Hildore. Thank you so much.